If you can draw these simple geometric shapes, you can draw anything. Simplification is the key to drawing and very often to painting too. My goal with this channel is to make art accessible to everyone, to make everyone see that they can draw and they can paint. You can draw things that look hard, you can paint things that look hard. Beginner friendly doesn't mean the final result looks easy, it means the approach to it is easy. Today we are tackling expressive watercolour faces specifically. You can find a link below to the sketch outline, so you will only need to focus on the painting. Expressive watercolour portraits have the bad reputation of being complicated, but look how I'm breaking this one in and explore all the different options you have with me in this video. I pick up a watery icy blue and push my brush across the paper in random brush strokes that sometimes almost go beyond the sketch outlines. This requires no skills. The brush strokes have no rhyme or reason, no specific place they need to be positioned. The only thing you need to know is that you should keep the paint mixture watery. I switch my colours, in this case to some leftover reddish brown, basically some mud that was in my palette, and keep going with a second layer of brush strokes. The brush strokes start to create a story, a blueprint almost, as I move on to brown in the bear. I am simply pushing the brush into some of the main shapes I can see in the drawing. But the brush strokes are still mostly random. If anything, I can start going to the areas that are the focal points, like the eyes, to draw attention to them. But remember, watercolour is a transparent medium and dries much lighter, so we have so much freedom in these early stages as nothing will look overwhelming no matter what we do. There are no mistakes with this approach. We are painting wet and wet because our first layers have made the paper damp. This means the paint will start to stray and spread into other areas that are wet. Perfect. Let it do that and enjoy the beautiful granulation, the hard edges, the fun effects watercolour will create by itself without you having to intervene at all. Watercolour is the only medium that will do that for you, take on a life of its own. It's like opening a gate and letting wild horses run free. Just observe the beauty of it instead of being afraid. See the different point of view, nothing bad can happen. And if you've made it this far, you can start bringing some paint around the eyes and mouth and nose, the features that stand out. The colour doesn't matter. Keeping it within the sketch lines doesn't matter. You still want to keep your mixture relatively watery though, like milk. Keeping things diluted means less decision making and more freedom. The layers are building up, but everything is still transparent and soft. You can go into the eyes with slightly thicker paint and paint the irises. And here you can stop. You already have an expressive watercolour portrait. You can stop here. You can start afresh and create a new one using the same sketch, or you can continue on what you've already put down. If you continue, you then start focusing a little more on the details, and you can go into darken up shadow areas as well. What you've learned in the first part will come in useful now, as you will keep putting down those random brush strokes with a newfound confidence. I'm even using brighter colours by this stage, like opera pink, and being daring with where they go. The swipe across the mouth is something I love to do, but you will see that by the end it won't look as glaring as it does initially. To me, it just makes the area around the lips look more natural. There is no sharp cut off in the outline of the lip. That is how I started doing this, and sometimes I just like it to be a bit more evident. But that very possibly might just be me, and you might also have found something you like at this stage, and it might become part of your style. You can choose where to place a random brushstroke that is a bit more deliberate than your previous ones, and it might be across the nose or down one side of the face, or you may choose not to do it at all or to use a more subtle colour. I also go in with a water-resistant fine liner to stabilise certain areas and make them pop more.
I laid awake in our bed. It
I like to find shapes in my work. It's easy enough to spot them if you're looking for them. And in this case, I'm outlining them with the water-resistant fine liner, but you can also outline them with thicker watercolour paint. And again, this is optional, but it's also another moment when you can call the painting done. You have an expressive watercolour portrait, and I am sure you haven't found it difficult, because we took a different approach. You can stay in the early stages and keep experimenting before you feel ready to continue. But for the sake of this video, let's keep moving on. And also, I was having a lot of fun with this, so I wanted to keep going. The natural next step is to go into the hair, and though the brush strokes have become less random by now, you have gained some gestural practice, let's call it. So your hand will be used to swiping that brush down the paper, and if your brush strokes get a bit wobbly, all the better. It will have a more natural look. By this stage, my consistency is still milky. Watercolour consistencies can be the trickiest thing of the whole medium technique, but not when you identify them with things you know, like tea, milk, cream, and butter. Butter being the thickest. In this session, we don't even make it all the way up to butter, and possibly not even to cream, as we are keeping this very light and very transparent.
Tell me how I'm strong. So there I was carrying you around. All the times I convinced myself there gotta be heaven and hell. Once again you stabbed my chest. Swear to God you're a narcissist. Never again.
I work a lot to bring the focus around the eyes. You saw me mixing a brown and a pink. I think it was some of that leftover opera pink. I go around the whole eye, over the eyelids, under the eye, just adding layers. Again, there is no specific technique for this. It's not careful. When you see me pausing, it's more me assessing how far have I come, how much lighter is this going to dry. I'm not really thinking about where to position my next brushstroke, unless I'm seeing sort of an empty space or a gap. You will also see me going inside the white of the eyes with the paint, so you don't even have to be careful about that. In fact, I encourage you 100% to do it. I will occasionally use a clean damp brush to soften up certain areas, to bring them together to make the whole effect smoother. I don't go over any areas where I have more concentration of paint, more layers. It's kind of working around those and pulling the edges of the paint, which will reactivate, towards emptier spaces, usually in the centre of the face and up into the forehead. The nose, the lips, the cheeks are naturally areas I like to bring focus to after the eyes. And again, I'm not worrying about the outlines. I'm not stressing over how to make it look a certain way. I might move my brush around a little to sop up some water if things get a little too puddly. And of course, the highlight of my painting experience always is the highlights, the cherry on the cake. Use a white opaque medium like a white gel pen, gouache or acrylic, even oil paint to drop a pinprick of white and make the eyes shine. If you're enjoying this, I'd like to invite you into my Patreon, which is a lovely community online where we do this every month. We co-sketch on a weekly basis, usually on Tuesdays, to keep those fine motor skills greased, and we have guided painting sessions twice a month. All levels, even complete beginners, have found that my Patreon is suitable to them, as have more experienced artists, so don't let the fear of skills put you off. I'm also hosting a free 2-day sketching challenge starting July 15th. Just join my newsletter if you want to receive the Zoom links to access it. And everything will be in the description box below this video. And also, if you happen to be on Skillshare, my new class is now live, yay, after years. So, you have a lot to possibly join. Let's have a look at this bear I have been neglecting. After having put down some random brown brush strokes, gone into the eyes with a fine liner and some browny green paint, I'm now going into areas I want to make darker, and you will see me start off lighter and then darken them up with dark brown. I think I caved in and even dipped my bristles into a black at one point because I was really looking to make those ears stand out in tone, and around the nose as well as the shadow close to where the bear and the girl are leaning against each other. More than paint all over the shape of the bear, really, I played with outlining and using a squiggly movement to replicate the fur down towards the bottom. And you can do this any way you like, really. You'll even see me go in with some cerulean blue, a yellow, and a diluted pink, just to make things more fun. I deliberately went in as dark as I possibly could above the eyes to make them stand out. I'm still using a milky consistency. It's the build-up of layers that helps me achieve the darkness of value rather than the thickness of it. If you look closely at the footage, you will be able to spot how watery the paint is. I end up using the paint in the girl's hair again, at the hairline and also around the temple and ear area, filling in the shapes I had carved out earlier with a fine liner. And back into the lips, I usually love to add a blob of some brighter pink or red, and here is where the milky consistency slightly verges towards creamy, so it will stay put. And I also like adding a yellow ochre to create an interest in the mouth, let's say. And of course, I'll add highlights here and in the nose. So this is where you can wrap up the portrait. I showed you 3 different stages where you could stop and still paint a beautiful, expressive watercolour face, even if you're a beginner. And as I said earlier, stopping in that earlier stage and creating different versions of it will really help you build up your confidence and also explore your style. I think this is such a liberating approach. I also love it because it doesn't take as long to paint this way than if I were painting a traditional portrait. I really hope you enjoyed the video. Please share your work and leave a comment down below. I always love to read them. See you next week, and bye for now.